Handedly.
I still have it
I don't
back
know.
there. It's just I changed the angle.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Hello, wonderful people. So we had a little bit of a hiccup. Oh, I got to bring the big dog up.
Bring him in. Bring him in.
Uh-oh, it's like WWE. Here he comes.
We should break down
Um,
his brand.
Ooh, let's do that. Because so we had a bit of a hiccup. One of the people on the oh my god, he looks so good. I miss this guy. Oh, amazing. Uh,
The machine.
the machine. We had a a bit of a like I said, hiccup in terms of our promotion of the webinar. So honestly, we can just do. Well, I want to hear about kind of what you're doing, Sandra, and how you're thinking through it. Let's see how many people are here. So it's
Yeah, if you're willing to
basically,
share, I think that would be some fun content.
yeah, and
Yeah,
then
I can share whatever you want.
I love that. Let's do that. And then Rich is on. Rich is a good friend of mine. He does the really awesome look-see boxes. We could do like a live brand breakdown for him, and then depending on how deep Rich wants to get into it, and we can bring you up, Rich, as well, since it's basically just us four hanging right now. And then if we do get too deep in terms of metrics and stuff like that, we can just nuke, or we just won't post the webinar for post hoc consumption. So yeah, I had some cool stuff to talk about, but it's kind of talking to just the friend stuff.
Leonardo
But
joined. What's up, Leonardo?
okay, so there's some people rolling in. Okay, well I guess we'll go through the quick hits, I guess, in the news. So one of the things that was really fascinating was CPG brands are starting to make branded houses on Airbnb, which I think is actually a really interesting play where you go stay in this house and then all the product is essentially sourced from said brand. You guys got
Yeah, I
any
saw you. I
thoughts?
saw you posted that, by the way. Where? So first,
There
I
we
want to
go.
know who is promoting it. Like the article about the branded house.
A gal named Andrea, so I can drop it in the chat. She's really awesome. She's very hip to the CPG space in terms of that's kind of her forte. But this is where I saw it, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And if you think of almost like a try before you buy, I really like it, especially if it's higher price point. And I don't know the ability to do this, but actually, what I would do instead of you buying it there, because you probably don't want to travel with it, you could have some semblance of like a QR code, or I don't know if you guys ever stayed in like super fancy hotels where they actually let you buy the shit, where it's like, oh, do
Yeah.
you want to buy the lotion or whatever? Here you go, just pay us and stuff like that. So I think it's a pretty interesting take on it. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts, Logan? And then I want to hear your thoughts, Sander.
Yeah, well, I mean, so this was. I thought it'd be fun to talk about it on on the podcast here rather than in Slack, but this was done years ago by Marine Layer, and I thought it was a really cool idea. They kind of have a retro 70s vibe.
Yeah.
And so
Hey,
they,
Marine is amazing.
yeah, so they like had a couple of Airbnbs that were all decked out in their 70s vibe. And it was kind of promoted on their website. You could book it. So I think it was kind of additional revenue. Maybe it was a way to get cash off the books too by investing in the space. I'm not really sure. Um, but in any case, I thought it was a cool idea. And I'm really surprised. This was an idea that I had pitched to a friend, just like talking about fun marketing or content ideas. I'm really surprised that bigger brands, like let's take Miller Lite for an example, why don't they have dedicated bars like breweries? Like breweries are all the rage, but literally just make it the Après Ski Coors Light bar. Even if it's a pop up, just like do it somewhere and all you serve is Coors, as cold as can be, cold as the Rockies. Make it all your vibe. Feels like Denver. I don't know. I feel like something like that would be really cool too.
I don't hate it. Why do I not love it though? Or I guess Sandra, let me hear your thoughts on the Airbnb houses. But Logan, that's interesting because like the basics of it, all the boxes are checked, but for some reason it doesn't feel right. And I have some thoughts, but
All right.
Sandra, what do you think about the Airbnb houses? Like, if you were a big brand with some, marketing capital that can be used for, said brand awareness. Because the other thing I can think of is like, if you do it right, you can send influencers there. You can do things that it becomes this content create, almost like this rotating content house that you can rent out in a weird way.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I think you saw similar things like, I mean, Optic Gaming kind of started like the content house.
Yep.
They were like the OGs before all the TikTok people took it over. And so I mean, I like it. I mean, I'm just thinking like if Prime did something like that, it would probably blow up, something like that. Am I cutting in and out? I keep seeing you guys are losing internet.
No,
No,
you're good.
no, you sound
Okay.
great. I like the Prime thing. The problem with the Prime thing is it is a consumable, and it's so like, I don't know how. For me, it's more if you have something that you can, almost like a quasi showroom where you can get like a baby Apple
Like a
store where you can get
Dyson.
people, like, yeah, or a Dyson's not bad. A Dyson's actually pretty interesting, but who would be something interesting for me? Almost like either like a furniture store or something where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this is awesome.
Mhm.
I can feel it, try it. This is great. Where it's like
Think about Eight
Prime.
Sleep. Like, what a cool idea to go sleep on these
That's
beds while I'm in a
interesting.
yeah. It's like
That's interesting.
one I wanna travel
I
to, one
love
of my
my 8
favorite
Sleep, by
cities.
the way. Shout out 8 Sleep.
Yeah, I
Do
guess.
you
I don't know much about them, but I just know they're popular, I think.
It's a big water bed essentially, and you can cool it and heat it. It's like it's pretty crazy. I've heard a couple horror stories about a few of them breaking, but it sounds like the brand, it's few and far between. And it sounds like they made it right for the people that had some water stuff issues. But that's a really interesting. So mattress is great because that's kind of what I'm thinking is almost like high LTV or high SKU
Mhm.
count is what makes
Yeah,
the most sense for me in terms of the brands for that. Um, okay,
I like it.
give me the critique on Logan's idea.
I love it. I mean, the first thing that came to mind is what Barstool's doing with their own sports bars. So they
Oh my
have,
gosh.
yeah,
Keep going.
that's also
Big
crazy
news.
Yeah,
news
we
too.
got to talk about that.
So, but yeah, I mean, they have started in Chicago, then they have one now in Scottsdale. I think they're doing one in New York or New Jersey. So now they're going like full blown on that. And they did it with the Barstool Sportsbook, right? Getting into
Yep.
sports betting. So, I mean, I think I really like Logan's idea. I think that's super smart. It just comes down to an awesome experience, right? And so
Yes.
you do kind of see that Logan. They have that at like, I think it might actually be at the Colorado Rockies Stadium.
Which
They
would make
have
sense,
like your
right?
St.
Coors
Louis does
Light.
that too, yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of have a little bit of those experiences baked into like ballparks, but I love the idea. I think it's smart. I think they probably don't do it because they don't want to. They're all about distribution and,
Mhm.
their bars. So that's probably where they would come. But if they went somewhere where there isn't a bar within a few miles or something, you could easily accomplish that in Utah, but I don't know where else. So yeah.
That is a really great point because their biggest customers in a weird way are the distributors, not necessarily the people that are consuming. And
Yeah.
so you have to balance that. And if your bars are getting mad at you because you're taking all their revenue, that's really interesting. The other thing is, in any place that you'd want to do this, the legalities of grabbing a liquor or beer license are actually really expensive and hard. Like
Mm.
for example, like in Austin, it's almost impossible to start a new bar. The only new bars that really get started are the people that buy the old bar and they basically grandfather the license over. Like new liquor licenses or beer, like being able to serve, are really hard to come by. But I, on the face of it, I love the idea. I just don't know. Maybe alcohol is like the outlier of why, but I think like actual pop ups and stuff. It's interesting. It's interesting. I got to chew on that. That's an interesting wrinkle. Okay, okay, we got to. I didn't have it on the agenda, but we got to talk about it. The inverse rug. I've never seen this before. So for
It's
people that don't
crazy.
know, it's
I wanna know
crazy,
the I
right?
wanna know the monetary details. I don't
Oh,
understand.
you don't? Oh, yeah, it's really good.
How did he buy it back? Like, is it
He
is
he
it
didn't buy it back. He
They
okay.
he
pretty
essentially
much
got it.
gave it to him so they could do the ESPN deal.
Okay, my man.
Oh, here we
He's
go.
God,
All
I
right.
missed you.
You guys
God, I
are
missed you.
I've only
Yeah.
seen the video of him. I haven't checked out anything else.
Where is it? Damn it, I bookmarked it and but anyways, damn it, I thought I had it. So the too long didn't read was Dave Portnoy, majority of owner of Barstool Sports, ended up selling a huge portion of it to Penn, and then eventually they bought him out for I think around 500 million in 2020. Um, and
It's
then
been that long. Gosh.
yeah. So he checked the top in a lot of ways. But the challenge with that was the money is in betting, and ESPN wanted to get into betting, where ESPN being Disney, ESPN and Disney candidly don't think highly of Barstool just because they're so on the fringe and like you know what I mean. There's a lot of brand vulnerability to Disney and ESPN when aligning with Barstool. I think they had like a ESPN show for like I think one episode or something, then they end up canceling it. Um, and they made this deal where ESPN really wanted to get into bed with Penn, who's also a massive sports book. Also, Penn really didn't get the synergies that they thought they would from Barstool. Where if you look at their market penetration in the kind of big Barstool areas, they're still really second to kind of DraftKings and FanDuel and stuff. So the point of the acquisition was essentially distribution, but distribution on the back end of actually being able to monetize via their sportsbook. Anyways, Too Long Didn't Read comes out I think yesterday or the day before, where Dave Portnoy was essentially gifted back the company with only a couple riders. So one of the few riders were essentially Barstool can never start a sports book. So RIP Barstool Sportsbook. So that is gone. They can't advertise or take any advertising dollars from other sports books. And there was like a
Nice.
couple
I
other
think that's
things.
for a year or two. That one's not
Oh,
forever.
I thought that was in perpetuity. So maybe I
I
need to
don't think
get
it's forever because I
That'd be
think
pretty
I
rough because
understand.
you'd think DraftKings would be able to pay them a pretty penny.
that's the most money ever.
Oh,
Like
like
they
Yeah.
500 mil. Yeah.
like gambling sites pay. I used to at an old agency. It's insane to get like gambling, being able to
Mhm.
advertise gambling and stuff. Like it's all like my boss who ran the agency had to do all this almost like TSA pre-check on steroids. He had to go do an interview. He had to do, and you have to get essentially like christened in every state. It's pretty crazy, or any state that you want to advertise in. So it's really crazy. And that was one of the bigger things too, is a lot of this stuff that Barstool was doing was pissing off regulators. You piss off the regulators and they yank your license, the lifeblood of your business goes away. So there was the impetus there. And then the last rider was if Dave Portnoy does either sell the company or there's some sort of monetization event on the company, Penn gets half of those proceeds. But um,
So he doesn't
that's
really own 100%. He just gets
no,
to
he
run it
does.
the way he wants to run it.
No, he does. It's just he can't ever sell, or if he sells, he has to give up half of it. So he can basically just run
It's
this
like saying I
company.
own a house, but if I sell this house, I can't use all the proceeds. I have to give half to you.
Wouldn't you
Yeah,
take that deal 10
but I
times over 10 though? If you got a
and I
$20
gave you
million house?
yeah, and I gave you a 500 mil. Like you can rent the house, you can do whatever you want with the house. You just can't have a sale of it. And I
Yeah,
gave you this asset back for free that was less than 2.5 years ago, valued over half a billion. Like there's no
I'm
other
in on it.
way
Yeah.
that you can cut the deal other than Dave Portnoy, absolutely legend. Like whatever you think of him, this was one of the most. I mean, very Adam Newman esque. Like I've never seen a deal so lopsided. But it also shows you negotiate when you have leverage, because I'm sure he was constantly, because he had him over a barrel and he's like, this is what I want, this is what I want, if not I'm going to scuttle the deal and do all this stuff. So I mean that's all hyperbole and um
Wait, but can Sandra
conjecture,
explain the other
but
side of it? What is the advantageous role of Penn giving it back up? What do they get out of that? I mean, I understand that they
Well,
get
it's the
they
ESPN partnership. So, I mean,
Disney wasn't going to buy him or
long
partner with him.
story short, ESPN used to have, well, they ran one show if you ever watched Pardon My Take. And so
yeah.
they brought Pardon My Take on, signed a contract. It was supposed to be a weekly show on ESPN. After one episode, they they pulled it.
That
And
was it.
so
That was the
and
one. Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're the biggest sports podcast in the world, they're like massive. And so yeah, there's always kind of been now bad blood with ESPN since then. And so yeah, so more or less that's why it's a huge win for Penn. I mean, I think their stock like doubled yesterday. I don't know. The last 2 days, it's like gone pretty
Because
crazy.
taking Barstool off the books made it less volatile
Yeah.
to
Yeah, there was the signaling risk to regulators of, do you guys get rid of them? I mean, I'm almost positive that ESPN and Disney were like, this is a non-starter to bring over Barstool. You need to divest from this. I'm 99% sure that's what happened, especially when you look at how the deal was structured, because the whole point was to get this massive partnership in it. And it makes sense, like to your point, Sonder, with Penn, where it's like, dude, if you get ESPN as a distribution partner, like all day, twice on Sundays, and you lock out Barstool from not only starting a competing product with a Barstool Sportsbook that they did that they're going to have to spin down, but also the ability to help accelerate any other sports books in
Yeah.
terms of not being able to take advertising dollars from these people. It it it's an interesting deal, but there's no way Portney doesn't like. He got so paid. Everybody at Barstool got so paid, and they get to keep all their money, and they get the bus back. Like
and their stock.
that's
I think they're keeping all their Penn stock, right?
well, they got
Uh,
paid out.
Portnoy is he didn't have as much cash out. He was very stock heavy too. So it's
Yeah, I don't
Portnoy, by the way, Robba. Portnoy, not
Portnoy,
Portnoy.
not Portnoy.
I want to
Jeez.
know.
It's a
I want to
great
know how
name.
Kevin made it out. I listened to his stuff, dude, and I love his story's a little wild too. I'm sure you know it better than me, but from what I've heard, it's pretty wild. I want to know how much he got paid out because he was like
He
an
got the
early
short end.
employee.
He got short end of the stick. He was pretty upset about it for a while, but he like 6 or 9 months ago is when his payment actually came through. So then he made his millions then, but he had to wait longer, where Big Cat didn't have to wait. So he was all part of it. So it was kind of like he kind of got kicked down a tier to where it was like Dave and Big Cat. And then Kevin got kicked down, which I think is kind of fair. But I think what Kevin's focusing on now is just as popular as sports, if not more, since it's all culture. So it'll be interesting.
Tying this
Yeah.
back into marketing, though, he does the best ad reads I've ever heard on the internet. Have you heard him do an ad read? How he bakes it into his content?
Oh, it's the
Yeah.
best.
I mean, he'll
I
be
don't.
like, "Man, I'm telling you, we were down in Texas, and that place is hot, almost as hot as the hot sauce I've got here from
Oh, he's
Hot
so
One."
good.
You know, it's like,
He's so good. Yeah. So Penn's new deal with ESPN was around $2 billion, and yeah, I mean, this. I mean, I'm just shocked by it, but not like it all works. But you're just like, man, what a absolute right place, right time, right? Like, what an awesome deal for you, and like you're rich now. Like he got paid off. Like all the Barstool people made a ton of money in that acquisition. Not only
Yep.
that, Dave got actual shares in Penn, and I think he actually acquired more as well. And now he gets his whole company back and gets everybody to tell fuck off. So now not only does he have money, he has the business that he built in 100%. I think he said that he hasn't had 100% of his company for years because he has
Yeah.
and now he owns the whole thing. I mean, I
He
don't know.
sold 51% to Chernin.
It was what an absolute just
I'd love to spend a
brilliant.
day in that office just to see what it's like.
What a brilliant move. I mean, it's
Just watch stool scenes. That tells you everything you need to know.
I know I've seen some of those videos on YouTube. It's I just wonder how much of that is a little bit like you know, like when you watch it that what was that show, Jackass? It kind of reminds me of like,
yes.
all right, let's just be as like rude and ridiculous as possible for this content. But maybe that's the way it
It's
is. I don't
But
know.
they
it's
do it
amazing.
every day. Stool scenes are every day, and every day is crazy there. It's like
Amazing.
wild. I
That's
don't watch
amazing.
everyone because it's too much. But
Moving on. Have you guys seen the Drake website? So I'm gonna pull it up for y'all here. Drake related. How cool is the
I
Shopify
saw what it
store?
was, but I don't know what it is.
This is a store. You can buy whatever you want.
that's
You can
cool.
go. It's so cool. And what's really cool is a lot of this is not even his stuff. It's actually using
Drake related.
Shopify Collective,
Oh,
where
good.
he's slinging things that aren't necessarily like proper Drake stuff. I think it's awesome. I think it's so awesome. The not the tour. Where am I going here? Or how do I get back? And so, for people that don't know, Drake, obviously super big artist, but This is supposed to be a floor plan of he has like this massive. I mean, I wouldn't even call it a house. It's almost an estate. He has a name for it. It's called the Embassy, and you can go out and this is all a replica of it with the products just hanging around in there. I think it's so cool. I mean, it for conversion rate, it's probably atrocious, but at the same time, this is almost getting into the realm of like luxury where you are like you're gonna buy what you're gonna buy and you're gonna find it. I mean,
So he's making it look like he almost took aerial photos of his real house, and you can buy the items that are on his floor, kind of thing,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Robert,
think
throw this
it's
link in the chat.
let me see, where is it?
Enter closet.
Oh, the link in the chat. Yeah, I'm tracking.
That's funny.
Isn't
Oh,
it?
he's
I
got
mean,
the
I think
Lollapalooza.
it's so cool, man. I think it's just absolutely one of the coolest Shopify
It'd
sites
be
out
even
there.
cooler if somebody found an Easter egg, which I imagine has got to be hiding here somewhere. Where like, imagine there's a one-off pair of shoes that nobody has that he just hid in this store
That's
somewhere.
interesting. That's a really interesting vibe. But I don't know. I've been blown away by this. I think this is one of the cooler Shopify implementations. Obviously, I don't think everybody can do it. Obviously, I don't think everybody has a house as cool as this. But something that I thought was really interesting and just very novel and interesting. So go check it out, drakerelated.com. Very cool. And then what was the last thing on the agenda? Oh, I don't think because we skipped last week's Shopify editions. What'd you guys think of that? The launch. I thought it absolutely slapped, but I just biased your answers. But let's start with you, Son, this time, and then Logan. I want to hear your thoughts.
I mean, this one seemed a lot more AI heavy from what I remember seeing with it.
Mhm.
I don't even know. Did they even finish their winter ones? I know one of the big ones I was excited there was bundling existing product
Bundling,
SKUs. Is
yeah, it
that
launched. Yeah, it launched into this one.
all right?
Yeah.
Good. I know they
The
were working on it in winter. So yeah, I mean, that's what I really remember from it is the AI. So I think it's fascinating. I mean, kind of obviously Triple L has been very focused as well on a similar bot, and so I think it's cool. It will. I don't know. I love Shopify and everything they do. So that's really what
it,
stood out to me.
yeah, I echo those sentiments. What about you, Logan?
Yeah, I mean, like, all right. So I mean, it's great. Like, I think go check out the landing page if you're listening. Like, go look at the Shopify Editions thing. It's really awesome experience. Number one, like everything pops out at you. There's moving elements. Clearly, everything they're doing is right on par with what their customers kind of want and need. I'm just really curious to know. Like, I just get really hung up. I guess 'cause I'm on the product side. I get really hung up on the outcome. Like, I would love to know like how many people are going to leave recharge for their subscription app. Like, is it a bluff? Are they really going to go
Mm.
all in on this and be a real competitor? Like, those are exciting, but I don't know.
So the interesting. So I have some takes here. And Toby actually had a really good take because this is kind of the challenge when you're the king of the ecosystem, right? Like you see the same thing with Apple Sherlocking apps, where they find something that's really interesting and they build it and they take the legs out from under the app developer. Toby has a really interesting take where he said, we're basically building kind of similar to what we did with our PPS, even though we did expand it to 7 questions. So it's starting to get into a pretty full fledged PPS or post purchase survey.
Yeah.
But Toby's take was we are building for the people starting out. So if you don't, so for example, you just started your Shopify store, you might not want to pay Klaviyo a bunch of money. And so just use Shopify email. And then
Yeah.
once you do get to a place that you need more bells and whistles, then go use Recharge, go use Klaviyo, go. So I thought that was a really beautiful take. And I think that's really what Shopify is going to adhere to as well. Because the other thing is people don't realize, I mean, Logan, you definitely do. And Sandra, you did for a little while when you were in the weeds as well. But like developing like kind of not core products is really hard. Like you
Yeah.
really need to be in the weeds, and like that's why a lot of these big companies, even though they have the horsepower, it's like you really need to understand where your focus is and what you're building. And at the end of the day, like Shopify, for all its awesomeness, if you look at its financials, is essentially a payment processor company. Like they make the majority of their revenues from processing payments. So for them, all they really care about is like, are people when people think of spinning up a shop or e-commerce store, they want people to choose Shopify, and then They just want to help you grow your business as much as possible, and giving people these tools, like, because the bundling app is supposed to be pretty cool, but still not, again, to the level of like some of these third party apps that you can install. So I think it's a, anyways, I thought it was a really fascinating take to really quell that, or you know, for developers, hey, I don't develop Shopify because they're going to build my app. Like, I don't think there's really any danger. And candidly, that's where Triple Whale lands, right? Like, I don't think Shopify will ever want to like build their own tracking solution. The same thing with Klaviyo. Like, they're not going to want to build their own tracking solution. It's just so much work, so much headache. Like, how can I get people to send more emails? And I think that's kind of candidly the direction we're going now, where it's like, we don't want to replace the guns. Sorry for like the war analogy, but we just want to give you better bullets, whether that be in the SCDP or making better decisions in your business. Like, we don't want to replace Klaviyo or things of that nature. So I don't know. I just thought it was a really great take on how to build an app ecosystem while keeping, multiple mistresses happy, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, and also, like, I think that's a good point. I also wonder, now that you mentioned about the payment processing, I don't know the ins and outs of how Recharge works or the others, not to pick on Recharge, but they're one of the biggest.
Yep.
Maybe Shopify is missing out on the revenue from those recurring subscriptions. I don't know. And if they are, this gives them a way to bring it
100%.
in-house so they make money off of each transaction. I just don't know how
That's
that
a fair
works.
point. That's a fair point. And I think that would be something that would scare me. So that's a fair point, because when you get close to the core business, that's when you get gobbled up. So I think Shopify or Recharge, that's a really good point. The challenge with Recharge, I think, is switching costs. Like, when you have money getting printed, like,
Yeah, it's really
there
hard to be
has to
like,
be
oh, let me
zero
yank all this
risk in the
out.
profile. Yeah, where it's like, oh, we moved all your subscribers over, but now you got to ask them for their credit card again. Like, that's a non-starter for pretty
Yeah.
much anybody. So I think that is one of Recharge's kind of armored value
Moats.
props, is those switching costs. Yeah, moats, exactly, a better term. But so that's a really good point, Logan, because they are missing out on those costs, because Recharge actually processes the. That's why you can kind of quasi do it now, but I don't know the ins and outs in terms of, you can do like the new Recharge will actually go through Shopify, but I don't know if they get a piece of that processing pie. So that's a really good question I need to get into, but that's incredible insight, because that's scary. Like, you're getting close to the monster's mouth, and that's not a place you want to be, especially when you have the market cap that Shopify does.
Well, that was one of the big things that happened a year ago, or maybe a little bit longer than that, was Shopify. So Recharge used to do their own transactions separately, and then
Yep.
Shopify made them go through Shopify. So Shopify was getting the
Yep.
transaction fee.
Yep.
But I believe Recharge still charges like a penny plus a percentage per subscription anyway. So
Tracking.
now they're not making, whatever that 0.5% transaction would have been, if someone's using a Visa or whatever, so yeah, so they kind of took that away. But I mean, I have a client who's still they're still on the old Recharge. They didn't
The
have
OG
to migrate.
Recharge.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
but that's also a pain, because then everything has to be custom coded to match. So they're actually now migrating to the new Recharge, because it was pretty smart the way Shopify did everything. Is you can't add new features to the legacy plan. So it's like,
That's so good.
wild.
They're so good at that, dude. Like, because some of the interesting things too, like when you get to this one-page checkout and stuff, which is great. I think it's awesome, but at the same time, like, you lose a lot of like Avi, and there's some other brands that have a really great kind of purchase flow, that have upsells, cross sells, the free shipping, add more products here and there, and you lose a little bit of that flow when you get to the one-page checkout, which again is not horrible if you just want to get somebody in and out. I think it's great for something, again, like a subscription or a text message or something, where it's like, get them in, here's the page, pay me. I think that's great, but that's a really good call out, Sonder. That's pretty much the latest news. You want to get into? I've been playing around with the SCDP a little bit. You want to get into that, Logan?
Yeah. What's been exciting you about it?
I really liked the idea of, one, having this the AI segments I think are really cool. The other aspect of it is the customers. So coming from different channels, I can see in we can show this screen here. I don't have anything showing. Okay, incredible. Um, so I think this is really interesting. I think the ability to do some semblance of like geo mapping is pretty interesting, where you can go into Shopify or something like that and see your top geos and then make audiences from those top geos is really fascinating to me, especially if you have product launches or something where you really want to test something in a market that you know is already hot and bothered for your product. Here you can launch it in there, especially on paid ads or something where you don't want to, be showing stuff to people in Kansas or some shit like that, where you know that you're probably going to have a really low probability of conversion, and you want to say, hey, I want to advertise in California, Texas, and New York. Those are my three biggest states. Then you can actually see that materialize as well. I also think the product stuff is really interesting. So being able to see if somebody buys X or Y product, what does that materialize in? I don't know. I'd just be really interested in that. And then having the Facebook sync, I think, is really cool, as well as I think we are coming out with a Klaviyo sync. So I don't know. It just fascinates me because it also gives the kind of, I don't want to call it a pivot, but more so into the evolution of triple whale, where we're going away from this attribution only solution to the pixel becomes this foundational element to your whole marketing ecosystem, whether it's advertising, whether it's understanding where to deploy capital, whether it's standing the efficacy of your product analytics, being able to see contribution margin on that end per product. I think is really awesome because without the pixel, you really don't know. I mean, I guess you could quasi maybe manually do it, but without the pixel, you don't know what ad spend is going to what, really. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
even when I ran accounts, I wasn't like, hey. To be fair, I think most products aren't made for paid media, so it was probably be easy to back in because with the SKU count of like maybe 20 or 30, two or three of those products actually have the economics to win on paid media. But I just found it a really fascinating kind of diamond in the rough, where being able to, again, segment my customers in really meaningful ways and then push that out to distribution mechanisms. I don't know. It kind of tickled my pickle. Maybe I'm behind. It feels like you've already rode the wave and you're not excited as I am. So maybe I'm just like the meme, like you're kind of like Reddit, Saunders
Oh, I'm
more
like
like
on the other side of the
Instagram, where
bell curve or something.
you've already seen the meme. Saunders already seen the meme, and I just got it on Facebook now. So I'm like, oh my god,
Well,
this is so funny.
I'm
Have you guys
definitely
seen
Reddit.
this?
All right, let's not
Oh,
let's
you're
not
the Reddit too.
confuse
So both
this.
both of you guys are at the origin of the meme, and I'm just the old guy laughing at the Facebook stuff, seeing all the babies, and then the recycled memes. But
I mean,
what do you, I
speaking of this,
guess.
but on a different angle, and I'll talk more about the pixel part too. But I did see there was this guy on Twitter who was talking about how to. He already has traffic coming in from all these different sources, and I think he was spinning paid media backup, and he was having a hard time understanding the incremental lift of sorts of like Facebook, because he's like, it feels like Facebook may just be retargeting all these people that I'm capturing on other channels. So the suggestion from most of the folks on Twitter was to actually dial back Facebook altogether and only target a specific state. So it's like put it in like one campaign, one
Yep.
ad set, a couple of
Yep.
ads, target like California,
Yep.
and then see how many orders come in from California compared to the previous period or whatnot. And
Yep.
the CDP, I mean, I guess you could just do it ad hoc in Shopify, but you could build that audience in the CDP in our platform and actually visualize the count of customers live coming in from California during the time where you're increasing spend or adjusting budget. So, and then of course the pixel will help you understand the overlap between the different channels. So like are these people who are coming through Facebook, were they actually involved in the other channels he had, but he was just trying to do it through Facebook Ads Manager.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I don't hate it because you can concentrate spend. I don't know how representative it is for the whole country. The one thing I would say there is I that's one of the reasons I really enjoy the Pixel is being able to see not only new customer revenue, new customer AOV, new customer conversion rate, but also new customer visits. right? Because
Mhm.
that's the other thing is Facebook bringing new people to me, or is it just, to your point, retargeting people that, and I've seen that a lot with ASC, where once it kind of starts to run out of those really good conversions, it'll start to circle the wagons a little bit and go after people that are going to have the highest probability to convert. So, yeah, I don't hate it. I think it's interesting. That's one of the reasons Pix fashion is being able to bifurcate the new and returning customers is really interesting. The other thing, though, I would say too to him is that I would candidly just look at my fluctuation. If it's only one channel, like what's my new customer ROAS? Like where is that landing? Because that should be a really good approximate of the incremental lift in the system. Like, are my ad dollars bringing in more or less new customer revenue? Is another place that I would start, that would abstract a little bit of that complexity away, where you could just run a Facebook campaign BAU or without having to geographically restrict it. Because the problem with geographic restrictions is as you layer on asks to the algorithm, CPMs just naturally go up.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's a good thought. Like as you're advertising, are you seeing a lift in new customer acquisition in general? Um, yeah, while maintaining efficiency on the ROAS.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily give you the channel level data, but if you're only on one channel, it's like, where else is it coming from? You can kind of deduce that, like, hey, Facebook is having an impact on my new customer OIs, or hey, my new customer OIs is saying the same, and I'm just, my MERS going up or something like that, which is again not the
I'll
worst
have,
thing
I'll
in
have
the
to
world, but
find
at
it.
the
This
same
guy had
time,
like a bunch of different. I need to get better.
gotta get those bookmarks, bro.
Maybe I did actually. Let me check.
Okay,
But
let's
yeah, he
see.
had a bunch of different channels going. I just forgot what his story was. There was something there where he had like tons of traffic coming through, and yeah. Anyway, I'll
Well,
I'll find it while we talk more because I think I can find it, and I
and
can
I
bring it
think
back up if it's
the
worthwhile.
I love it. And I think the other way you can hedge this as well, shout out Total Impact, is a post-purchase survey. So if you look at your new customer revenue, a post-purchase survey, and then you can even into what is it, the activity feed, or where can you correlate? And then you can see, is my Facebook spend actually driving new customer revenue or not? But again, that's going to be um, essentially new customer ROAS, especially if you're only on one channel, where the majority of your ad spend is going to be on Facebook. So it's going to dominate that ratio anyway. So I don't know. What about you, Sandra? Any thoughts there?
I think people get too scientific with this stuff. I'm with you. I just think spend your money, look at your NCPA cost. Is it increasing or decreasing? It's going to increase if you're getting back into Facebook ads anyway. So
Yep.
at least how we calculate it.
Yep.
And then kind of set your threshold. So, I mean, that's more or less, it took me a few months to get one of my clients into like the green, but that's
Yeah.
been like the metric is we did kind of start with like Facebook ROAS and then now have migrated fully to just looking at our new customer ROAS. So, I
Yep.
just know based on the budgets we're spending what that should be. And now, now we're cranking. Things are looking awesome. And now we're starting to introduce other channels like affiliate and other things. So we're kind of at like what we want to be spending on Facebook. And now I think it's good to like diversify. So we could spend more because performance is there, but then we know that's going to naturally increase the NCPA in most cases. So yeah, I think that's just how I think about it.
No, I love that. And I think the new customer CPA is really interesting, especially if you have some semblance of an acceptable LTV, whether you use in a year, 2 years, something like that, where it's like, hey, I know if I buy this person for X, I'm going to get Y out of them within a year or something like that. I think that's a really great way to scale, especially if you have your um, other retention plays in place and humming, right? Like your email sequences, out of stocks, things of that nature, just kind of those foundational things to make sure that you have that second, third, fourth purchase coming through. But yeah, I love that. And I second that, man. I think there's a certain aspect of and I might just be a little bit burnt because I went to school for economics, and that's exactly what economists do, is they make like all these really fancy that just basically a bunch of really smart people that love math, and then they wanted something cool, and so it's like, oh, let's do economics. But the challenge, I think, when you get really crazy and scientific and stuff, one, you introduce a lot of complexity to the system, which makes it hard to troubleshoot. And then thirdly, it's just it's complexity for complexity's sake, or just trying to sound smart. I just don't think it lands. Like I try and keep things as simple as possible, because there's just going to be natural layers of complexity. So I think it's a really great take.
Oh, Raba, so this will make a lot more sense now. The brand was Mini Katana. So they have millions of sessions, he said, on the site, millions of visitors already from the videos.
Oh, I know Isaac. I'm good
Yeah,
buddies
yeah.
with Isaac.
He was having trouble correlating. He wasn't spending that much. The screenshot he shared was like $600 of spend, but he was having a hard time understanding if the CPAs that were pretty low, like $15, were legit coming from Facebook, or if that was if Facebook's taking a bunch of credit for other things that are happening across the web.
Well, and I think so.
Yes.
This is a perfect, yes, exactly. So I think this is a perfect example of um, understanding the impact of the marketing. And because he didn't run paid media before, those would kind of be my base rates, where it's like, before, my new customer CPA, or my, I guess if you're not spending ads, a new customer CPA is going to be better, because the new customer ROAS is going to be basically through the roof, because the denominator is going to be so small. And then, to Saunders' point, understanding, as I scale that up, am I getting new customers coming in the fold? And again, if you have that marketing ecosystem in a place of that kind of simplicity, then it's pretty easy to run incremental tests to see if there's lift or not, because you already have the base rate before. You already know what happens if I didn't put ads into the system. Now I can see what happens if I do put ads into the system, and understand how that levels out. I'll have to reach out to Isaac. I didn't know that was Isaac. I love Isaac.
Yeah, let me give you a
But
scenario on that, by the way, and let me ask you your opinion on how
yeah,
you think about it. Because I imagine our other customers deal with something similar, and I think it's interesting to think to. I'd be curious your thoughts on where the level has to be for you to determine whether or not what you're doing is actually successful. So
yep,
let's just say that you're driving, maybe in his case, like thousands of new customers. Let's call it 2,000 new
okay,
customers a month, but he has a new customer ROAS of like 10 because he doesn't spend much. But maybe
yep,
he puts in his expenses for his videos and he labels that as ad spend. So he's got a
okay,
10 new customer ROAS.
okay,
How much do you think he needs to spend on Facebook? Because as soon as he starts spending, there's that denominator starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger
yep,
because he's putting more money into the ad spend bucket.
yep.
How much do you think he would have to spend to really see a big enough fluctuation in new customer acquisition to say that was Facebook?
I would not use new customer ROAS as the heuristic in this scenario,
Okay.
because it's so perverted with the minimal ad spend. I would flip to Sonder and see the impact on my new customer CPA, where it's like, hey, I ideally you want to have an in and out, right? Like, okay, I'm paying this much ratios. That's why I like new customer ROAS. But in this case, he doesn't have a really good comp for that. But he does have a really good comp of like, hey, what is my kind of new customer CPA in terms of, and again, to your
Aren't
point,
those
if he's
just
not,
inverses of each other though? I mean, if it's a
well, if he's
10
not
ROAS, then it's a tenth of that for the CPA, right?
ish, if he's not spending any ad spend, then you get into a place of it gets interesting. So for me, I would back it into kind of the three ROAS, and then I've been really into average contribution margin per order and average contribution margin per new order. And then I would back into those and see where my projections are. So the too long didn't read. I don't think there is a right or wrong answer. It's about designing the experiment to understand, like, hey, I want to spend $10,000 this month. How much can $10,000 of ad spend on Facebook actually increase my new customer revenue? And then I would look at that and see that. So I think there's not the variables that are needed, aka ad spend, are basically going from 0 to $10,000. So all those ad spend functions, whether that be cost per acquisition, new customer cost per acquisition, new customer ROAS, they're kind of moot, because they don't have the inputs, and the difference is so varied that I don't think they're great heuristics on the system. Whereas candidly, I would just run a test, right? Like, hey, how much money are you okay with losing this month? would basically be where I frame it. It's like, okay, cool. Can I test 5,000, 10,000, 1,000? Okay, cool. We're going to do that and we're going to roll it out. And then we're going to see how it actually impacts our new customer revenue. And then you can start to build a base rate, because the challenge here is there is no base rate, right? Like if you've never spent ad dollars before, then what are you comparing to? And so ideally, it should be very additive in terms of that, because you have all this organic traffic. And so you should see a really crazy MER. And then ideally, you have these new customer ROAS numbers kind of come up, and then you can start to use this month as the base rate and then run it from that. But
yeah, and I still think the pixel would be really helpful to him at this point. Like
that would be my other answer.
He would
Like,
literally
just
see
look at the
clicks from
pixel.
Facebook and he would know the overlap pretty easily. Like even if
Exactly.
they're
That would
referred
be
to us by YouTube and you have post-purchase survey,
brilliant.
that'd be a pretty good way to triangulate new customers, net new from Facebook.
Brilliant. Love it. Sandy, what you got?
That's what I would say. I mean, I feel like this has a negative connotation, but I'm not saying it negatively. They have a gimmicky product, as in like they put it on TikTok and it does really well, right? Like a gold katana, so it like catches people's attention. I think they're definitely going to need a post-purchase survey, because assuming they're using that same content in their ads, they're going to get a crazy amount of view through conversions. Because it's going to be showing up in reels and stories and that whole side. So, and to Roba's point, yeah, you got to figure out that baseline. Like if I'm working for them, I'm saying you need to commit to 6 months, because the first month for sure is just going to cannibalize whatever you're driving. There's going to be just naturally part of that. And then I think you start understanding month 2, month 3, and then I think you get to your like creative through that time period. And then by month 4, you really start to understand what creative is working, and you can scale from there, and you start to better understand what is and isn't working. So yeah, that's exactly how I would approach it.
Yeah. No notes. And the other thing that I would add is you're going to have this, again, kind of calendar perversion with Black Friday, Cyber Monday as well. So it's not going to be a great comp going into that as well, because once you get into late October, you get a bit of a chilling effect. People are waiting for the buy. So that's the other challenge here, is that there's not a lot of great comps. But what Sonder and what you said, Logan, I wholly endorse. Post-purchase survey, the pixel if you can afford it, and then establishing some semblance of a base rate. And to Saunders' point, like run it on a 3 to 6 month timeline of like, here's where I want to go, here's where I want to be, here's where I need to see the metrics moving, and just measure that. Because Sonder also makes a really great point. If you have a lot of these creatives that are hitting, you're probably going to see a lot of success up front, but then it gets to the place of why you need a pixel or a post-purchase survey or something like that, because you really want to understand, like, is this, because the other thing that he has a challenge with as well is the product is so fun to look at that he might not only get a bunch of view through conversions, but a bunch of fun comments and engagements and things of that nature, which will make the ad scream, and it might not necessarily convert. So you're going to be spending on an ad that's really great at getting conversions. So when I was at that New York agency, we had a really awesome company called WAG. It was basically like Uber for dog walkers type of thing. And anytime we ran puppy ads, like the ad would just spend like crazy, because people would like it, people would engage with it, people would share it. Like it was just all this social proof that the algorithm loves. But there would be never any really conversions behind it, because the job to be done wasn't to show people puppies. It was to explain like, hey, you need somebody to watch your dog or walk your dog, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think that is one of the challenges, or not necessarily the challenge, but one of the pitfalls that I would look out for when trying to scale ads that have done really well organically, where it's just a different headspace. But that was a good hypothetical, Logan. I like that a lot. Or I guess not even hypothetical, but an actual real thing going down. What else I got? I mean, I think that was kind of the big things. Why don't we carve out the last 7 minutes, Sonder, to an ode to Sonder, and then tell us about Buffed. And
I'm still trying to be the first customer. I'm drinking a Red Bull over here, and I need some Buffed.
I know. Same. I'm slumming around. I'm slumming around with no energy and a plastic Pellegrino like a plebe. How do I get buffed?
We need our Ramblers, our Rambler cups. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Gonna need them. Yeah, let me give a quick little context. So I actually got started in e-commerce 12 years ago, running a site on Big Cartel, and that was like my first go at I wouldn't even say entrepreneurship, I guess, but it was yeah, getting introduced to online marketing. Back then I would just fashion bloggers were kind of starting to become a thing. So I'd send watches to fashion bloggers and then we'd get like 50 to 100 sales from doing that, and
Hmm.
that's kind of how I rekindled things with my wife as well because she was a fashion blogger. So that's a different story. But and then yeah, for the last I don't know 10 years, I've been in the agency, been a partner in an agency at Triple Well, very much, kind of transitioned to agency work in a way where I was just helping other brands be successful.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I just wanted to launch my own brand. And I'd just say my biggest motivation in doing it is I just want to do something that's fun. Like I think
Yeah.
that's something that I've missed is just fun marketing. Um, and so, yeah, that's kind of what Buffed is. So I'll show you um,
Uh-oh.
what our pre-launch poster is going to look like right now. So
Tea is being spilled here on the Well webinar, folks. Strap in.
So here's our. Oh, I don't know how to get rid of these little previews down here, but oh well.
It's all right. We get the vibe.
So
Mm.
this logo is gonna it's gonna be buffediscoming.com. Will be the URL there. And
Can we learn
so
more about buffed? What is buff supposed to mean? Like, where'd you get that
good,
name?
good question. So buffed.
Great
So
question.
originally I wanted to make an energy drink for gamers. Was the whole goal. So buffed and gaming is to make more powerful. So if you ever hear something got buffed, they're
Oh,
like increasing a weapon, they're increasing a character, something got
Oh, I
buffed.
didn't know that. I
sick.
know pond. I know pond and noob. That's the end of my lexicon for
That's
gaming.
because
Yeah.
we were playing games back when what's that Xbox game? That was like when I remember that being
Halo,
yeah, Halo is where I heard
um,
being
Halo
pawned and
Fox.
stuff. Yeah.
Halo
greatest
is
game of all
what is it?
time, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
very
Yeah.
legendary game for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where the name came from. The original brand was just very like clean cut, kind of just think like a Prime type branding is like what I was going for. The logo still we kept that, but more like bright colors. Interesting enough, when I was at the Whaley's, well, okay, so yeah, I'll come back to the product. When I was at the Whaley's, I was a little bit uninspired by the brands. Everyone was just clean cut and simple. And so that's
Yeah.
kind of where I got the inspiration. I just want to go like crazy and have fun with a brand and really
Yeah.
go all in on brand marketing, community marketing, anything we do. Like I want to copy the Saturday Night Live model where we come in on Monday, everyone pitches their 3 ideas, and then we produce them that week. And then, we launch them on Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday the following week. Like everything is going
Oh,
to
I
be
love that.
content focused. And then
Mm.
anything we put into ads is just to perpetuate the brand and the content. Right. And so I think it's a longer game to do this, but I think it will lead to a much better acquisition, to community, and eventually just get to the point where we're actually never creating content. Our community is creating content. And so that's where
Love
we're like,
that.
hey, we're going to spend 10 grand on this ad, submit your ad here, and we're going to launch with this. So it's going to be our Destroy Canned Energy Drink campaign is going to be our first one. And so we're actually filming a video for it in a couple weeks to give some inspiration. But then it's like, whoever submits the best video, we are going to pay 10 grand. And so we'll make it very objective
Dang.
in how we're testing it, type of thing. So yeah, buffed is we're declaring war on canned energy. A lot of that, one of our taglines is killer energy that doesn't kill you. I think we all know canned energy drinks probably aren't the healthiest. Now, there have been no scientific studies saying with reasonable consumption that have killed anyone from canned energy. So I'll throw that caveat out in case anyone legal comes back and watches this. But with our energy, we have mushrooms in it. So organic mushrooms, 3 different types, nootropics, electrolytes, BCAAs, and caffeine. So we're definitely going more like a healthy alternative. Our main slogan is too powerful for a can. And so we're
Oh, that
actually
one
going to
fucks
be,
so hard. That's my favorite.
yeah.
I was
So we're
waiting
going
for
to
you
be
to make
actually
that
like
one.
stick packs. And just the branding, everything's going to be like fun. Everything from our packaging is fun. Obviously this is our billboard. I'll show you real quick. This is what our landing page is for Buffed is Coming. So I'll go
God, your
through this
coffee's
pretty
so
quick.
good.
Probably pronounced.
So, and then we even say like, except for Bacopa Minori, which is that's our nootropic that's in it, So we're even like making fun of ourselves to some degree. and then here's our canned energy drink, drinker. So like we're going very much like,
I love it.
animation heavy. And so then, yeah. So you have your save me. So then that's going to take you, if you click on this, that's going to take you to our canned energy drink anonymous page. So we're coming out with like a
Oh my
token
God,
and
that's
like
so good.
everything like that. And then order now will take you to our pre-order. So we've got, some fun little pre-order gimmicks that we're going to be doing, like a buffed forever shirt that gets you buffed literally every single month if you buy that shirt. And then we're going to do like a visor, and that will get you buffed for a year. And then we'll do another pre-order if you subscribe for buffed. We'll send you a free 6-pack every single month with your subscription. So
Dude, I
so yeah,
love
that's kind
it.
of what we're doing on the pre-launch side. And then yeah, we're going equally as heavy into retail as well. So that's been interesting, just learning that and all the caddies and everything like that. So I don't know. I'm just excited to build a brand. I'm not like just seeing this just as like D2C, but like literally as a brand and leveraging as many channels as possible. So
What made you decide to go wholesale in addition to direct to consumer at the beginning? And how much time has it taken to like even get approvals or people's time to sell them on it?
yeah. Ask your question again. Sorry, I latched onto the last part of it.
Oh yeah, I guess the first part is just what made you decide to go wholesale in the beginning in addition to direct to consumer?
I mean, really, because I want to view this as like a brand. I think there's a lot of good inspiration right now with, Raba will love this with Liquid Death, and then I think Prime's done another great job. Both of those started online, but then retail is what really blew them up. And when you want
100%.
like energy, it's not, most people aren't ordering it in advance either, right? And so that's where, and declaring, war on canned energy, like I want to be on like every fridge, where the canned energy drinks are, type
Yeah.
thing. So there's that better option there. So yeah, that's more the reason why.
And is it better for you to get the shelf space than a refrigerator space? Easier, rather.
It's cheaper. Yeah, a lot cheaper. Because if we do the hanging things, then we have to actually go install them ourselves. So
Got it.
yeah.
The my one, I love all of it, Sandra. I'm so excited for you, and I want to be a part in any way I can. The my latest hot take is, I think with the eradication of the arbitrage, man, that's a nice little bar, huh, Logan? That's a
Eradication of
little
the arbitrage. That's gonna go in a Drake song next.
that's it. The big
I'm
dog over here.
eradicating the arbitrage.
God, you're so good. Your product release video is so good. I love you on camera.
Thanks.
Anyways, the too long didn't read for me is, I think with that arbitrage in ads, essentially, like I think ads are probably properly priced now, where before they were just insanely underpriced and targeting was way easier.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there was just some really anomalous macroeconomic stuff going on, stimmy bumps, COVID. Like there was a lot of just distortions to what the proper market is. Even now, it's weird where you have interest rates going high, low unemployment, real estate's holding. Like there's just like, in terms of macroeconomics, nobody really knows which way's up, because something usually gives in that kind of triumvirate. Um, anyways, the point I'm trying to get to is, I think D2C will start to morph into essentially product market fit validators, where so food trucks are really popular here in Austin. And I think D2C is going to be very analogous to food trucks, where you get your food truck going, then you might start another food truck or something like that. And then if a food truck really pops off, and there was one called Picnic that did just this, where they started these food trucks. It was kind of like healthier, fun food, coffee, shit like that. And then that popped off. They actually have brick and mortars now. They're in Whole Foods, they're in retail. And so I
Awesome.
think, and candidly, I've never seen a pure D2C business over $1.50. Like at a certain point, like you just start to hit ceilings on D2C. And so I think a lot of brands that want, and again, 150 million is not nothing, but I think brands that want to scale really to like proper money, you get to a place that you like. D2C is great. It validates your product. You can build a following, you can do all this stuff, but you really need to get into wholesale, retail, Amazon, things of that nature, to start bolting on all these other omni-channel approaches. Because I have yet to see people really. I mean, even the probably the best D2C story ever, Lululemon. they make a ton of money from their retail shops now. And so I think Viore is another one. And again, these are all apparel, but I think that is my new kind of D2C thesis, where it's still a great place to start a business. And one of the things that I think and I'll end on this little diatribe, is one of the things, the biggest business advantage or competitive advantage, if you will, of D2C is that you can scale to like decent numbers. Like, dude, I know at one of the first whale road shows, was just some random really nice guy talking to me, and they were doing $40 million selling jeans, and it was 5 people. Like, what? That's insanity. And so I think that's the D2C competitive advantage, is being able to have this low OpEx with this kind of high, like revenue to employee can be really, really low. And I think you saw a lot of D2C companies just hiring up tons of people. And I think that is really negating the biggest advantage of being a D2C company, is that you can stay small, fast, and agile. And you can do a lot more stuff and faster than these bigger companies. But anyways, that's just kind of my whole little diatribe and thesis. But I think it's really smart, Sonder, for you to be approaching it as kind of D2C first, but then really trying to add on ancillary channels as fast as possible, especially for something like a consumable, where it's like, oh man, I can just run over to Whole Foods or Target or wherever and grab it while I'm there, versus have to wait 2 or 3 days. And sorry, I know I said I'd stop, but freight, like pick and pack gets crazy. Like, not shipping water, great idea, but pick and pack gets crazy even then. And so like, if you don't have a lot of margins to work with at the beginning, your shipping and handling can really take you for a loop, versus just internalizing freight, where you can send 1,000 units on one pallet and you pay $500 or whatever it costs. Like, man, it's a way better on the P&L than having to pick and pack 1,000 orders type of thing.
Yeah, that's true. I do need to run. I'm 6 minutes late for my other meeting.
We're 6 minutes over. Jesus, I have so much fun. Sonder, you're the best.
And
Thank
just
you for
like
being the best whale webby person ever. Obviously, Logan's up there, but you're near and dear to my heart, and you've just been such a impact on my life, not only professionally but personally. So I love you. I wish you all the luck, and obviously we'll stay in touch offline.
Second that, I'm ready to get buffed.
Yes, let's go. Seed some product. Let's get some influencers going.
I will.
Amazing. Thanks so much for joining us, Sonder.
Fellas.
You're the best. We'll talk soon.
See you, man.
Logan, let's wrap up here. I know we're 6 minutes over. What you got for me? Are you on Mentor Pass yet? You're still not on Mentor. Kenny,
no, who am I supposed to mentor? What?
You're one of the most brilliant marketers I know. Kenny, the founder of Mentor Pass, he lives in my building now. He moved to Austin. So
I'll give him my number.
If that's something you want to do, I think you'd really help. The clarity and calmness that you bring to the craziness that is D2C is something that is so unique, and I think just such a great thing for more people to have. Anytime I talk to you, I just get more clarity on whether my idea is dumb or whether it's actually interesting and I should pursue it. I think you're just such an incredible barometer for that. But with all that pumping up, how do people get involved with your pickleball stuff? How's the podcast going?
Oh, dude, really fun. So right now, TLDR, check out the podcast on Pickleball Effect. Okay. So I teamed up with a guy out of Idaho. Yep. He already has a built-in audience. So
it's brilliant.
Anyway, it's just you and me now, by the way. We teamed up to do the podcast together because he had a built-in audience. So we're doing that weekly there every Tuesday. Pickleball Effect on YouTube.
Love it.
We're getting a lot of engagement. It's kind of fun. I mean, a lot for me. I think it's cool.
It's great, and it happens slower than you think and then faster than you think. So just keep hammering, and I think it's a really interesting there's some money in niches, dude. Especially, again, it gets into a place of the pie might not be that big, but if you're taking 50% of the pie, like 50% of a $10,000 sponsorship's not nothing. And so it starts.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun to be able to pay my mortgage at some point on it. It'd be cool.
Exactly. So like goals like that is really interesting. But I think when you start out creating content to make money, that's where it gets weird. But when you start out to create content because you're good at it and you're really passionate and you enjoy it, I think that's when the biggest successes happen. Amazing. Okay. All right, folks, we'll wrap up. If you want to get more involved with Triple Whale, we are at triplewhale.com. We actually just released our forever free plan called the Founders Dash. So if you don't have the economics to make Triple Whale work, or you just want to give the whale a test ride, go to triplewhale.com/founders dash, and you can sign up for free there. You get a 12-month look back, all the awesomeness. You don't get any of the insights, the pixels, stuff like that. You can obviously upgrade whenever you want, add them on as your business grows. We want to grow with you. And what else we got? We got whale mail. It goes out every Tuesday, Thursday. That is triplewhale.com/whale mail. And then we have a great YouTube channel. That Logan's product release video is now on, and it is awesome. He's one of my favorite people on
July
camera.
product release.
It's fun. I sat through 7 minutes and I was like, how did I even sit through 7 minutes? Your pacing and your information delivery is second to none, LB. Awesome, man. Thanks so much. I think we're going to figure out a new cadence. We'll have to talk to the boss man and see what their temperature is. But if you guys have any preference on cadence or anything like that, let us know. We might spin this back down to almost like a monthly check-in with you all. I enjoy the weekly stuff, but again, we've had a few hiccups in terms of the distribution, and so we want to make sure we're impacting and reaching as many of you wonderful humans as possible. So we'll keep you up to date there. Anything I leave out aside all the plug, right?
No, lots of new product stuff coming out too. I know we just launched the July one, but we have even more. So in the next few weeks, it's gonna be pretty fun.
Strap in. Amazing. Yeah, and we'll get you guys all armored up. The money months are approaching quickly. I mean, September is kind of like the last month to gear up. I mean, when
Well,
you're
we're
in
involved with
October,
a pay attention to this, folks. So we've been invited to be a part of this ebook that Okendo is sponsoring or putting
oh
on,
yeah.
all about quarter 4 and how to take advantage. So I did like a little write up and video
Uh-oh.
for that. So
Uh-oh.
I
The
don't know the rest of the
man is
content,
getting
but
published. Let's go.
hey,
That's the only chapter you guys need to read. Just go to the Logan Brown chapter, and that is it. That's awesome, man. I love to see you getting out there. Like I said, dude, I think your voice needs to be amplified because you're one of the smartest guys in the space. All right.
I just want to speak to the people.
I just want to talk. All right, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Obviously, you can watch this post hoc. We'll hit you guys up. Logan, you're the best. Thanks for making time, brother. We'll see you on the flip.
Thanks, Robbie. You too, brother.
Bye, everybody.